Hey there. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be talking about how we set up our mockups so that they are ready to get into our Etsy shop after we've uploaded our print-on-demand products for whether it's Printify, Printful, Printed Mint, any of those. The reason why I think it's important to start with this is that when we are creating print-on-demand, we want to make sure that we have something that really showcases our designs and shows them off. So if we were to look on Etsy and just say knitting shirt, there are, doesn't give me the number, but there are umpteen million, or let's say first grade shirt. First grade teacher shirt. So we have 42,518. And what we want to do is we want to make that stand out. When we go through and look, the ones that oftentimes stand out are the ones that are on a model or has a flat lay that draws your eye and draws your attention. So that is one reason. The other thing is I want you to look at some of these models. Okay, this one is the same as this one, is the same as this one. They're not the same shops, but they kind of all look the same. So when I'm looking for mock-ups, what I want to do is I want to have something that showcases my product, but doesn't look exactly like everybody else. Like this person, I see that one, this person a lot. Not saying not to use them, absolutely can, but if you're trying to stand out, one way you can do that is like literally all of these, they're the exact same picture, is trying to use something that is unique. So you can come in and you can look at mock-up, like say Bella Canvas 3001. It's going to give you a variety of mock-ups. So the other thing I do when I'm creating mock-ups, so I'm going to show you over here some mock-ups that I've already started up in Canva. Now this is for a knitting shirt that I'm making for my mom and some of her knitting friends designing. And one thing I've done is I want to make sure that I have a variety of colors and models, ages, sizes, races, because we want to represent anyone who might be buying these shirts. So this one looks a little different than one that I did just the other day, because the niche that my mom, is there in the knitting, there are older individuals and they're younger. So I want to have both. I don't want to just, Mom talked about how frustrating it is that all the knitting things show older women, that look like grandmas. Even though my mother is a grandma, she definitely looks more like this grandma. So I wanted to make sure that in my mock-ups that I'm representing that. So I have a variety of colors, shirts, variety of models, ages, so that I can make sure that I'm targeting my niche. Now, if I'm targeting a different niche, those mock-ups might look a little different. So that can really help with when you're creating your mock-ups to really know who you're reaching. So what we're going to do here is I am going to bring in one of these images. Okay, coffee, knit, repeat. So I'm going to size it down to fit on the shirt. Now, I see this happen a lot, and that, especially like using Canva and stuff, is that you can, walk away and do this, but this is not how your image is going to print. And it doesn't necessarily look realistic. So we want our images and our mock-ups to look as real as possible. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to drop the transparency down. Sometimes depends on the color of shirt. I still want it to look vibrant, but I also want it to look more realistic. And so just make sure that it's in the middle, and I might bring that transparency up. So sometimes my transparency is down around 75. Most of the time it's about 85, just depends on the color of the shirt. A white shirt is going to make everything look really, really bright. So I'll bring down the transparency just a little bit more. So we're going to put this on our other shirts. So a couple other things that are important to note. You want to do the transparency, but you also want to make sure that it's centered. And then if the shirt or the person is angled in a little way, switching it so that it kind of gets that angle. So it's looking as realistic as possible. I'm going to bring that transparency down a little bit. The other thing is that if I do this just as the image looks, it's not how it's going to print on the shirt. So I found that having a little bit more realistic looking image means that people aren't going to get the shirt and go, wow, this does not look at all like what I thought I was purchasing. So we're going to get those all placed. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. So like this is a good example of someone who's at an angle. So I'm going to try to catch the angle of the shirt, the angle of her body, so that it kind of gets that realistic look. See how that looks? Maybe a little bit more, maybe bring the transparency down a little bit. So this is just a little, also too, there's no like magic number for transparency. It's just really how you think it looks on the image. But I do recommend you doing this to some extent for all your images so that it has more of a realistic look. So kind of seeing how that's done. And then what I'm going to do, the other thing that I add to mine is I want to make sure and use all 10 images. So I typically have about 7 pictures of individuals, different mock-ups, different models wearing their shirts of the different colors. And while I will do white and black sometimes, in this case, it had to do with the colors that I was able to find for the mock-ups. But I try to do the colors that people, you know, like don't know how it's going to look. So oftentimes I'll do some of the other like more colorful colors per se. So here we go. I've got everything. Now you can kind of see how things look a little different on different colors. When I'm creating my own images, there are times like these colors actually work on all the shirts, but say you're doing black and you have a black or a dark shirt, you might have to change that color out. Let's get these all. Okay. So now one of the things is the size. So, you know, Canva, I mean, Etsy goes back and forth. They want square, they want the 4:3, the ratio of your images. So I originally created in square, then I went to the 4:3, 3:4. Now I've gone back to square. What's important is when you are creating these images, you need to have some what we call white space or open space behind the shirt, behind the individual, for a couple of reasons. One, that allows your eye to focus on this person in the foreground. If it's all the way like this, and it's just the shirt, oops, it's not going to like that. It's just not as clear for the eye, and I don't know exactly the explanation. I have a photographer friend who could explain the specifics, but we want the shirt to pop, and we don't want it super far away, but we also don't want it so close that we're not able to see the shirt and really imagine what the whole shirt looks like. So the other thing I do is I put information on the shirt size, the colors that I offer. When I'm doing print on demand, I do the max colors because I'm giving as many people the different options, so that, you know, some people might really like navy shirts, some people wear gray, some people like green or blue. So I want to give a variety. And when you're doing print on demand, you're not penalized, or it doesn't cost more to do to add those different colors. Now some colors cost more, but I like to give a variety. And then I have like an information page. So that way I'm using all 10 of my images. So we're going to download these, and now, so I make sure they're the 2000 by 2000. Now I do have an extra one, and oftentimes I'll do that just so that I can, once it's downloading, I can take a look and make sure that I like the way they all look. And I won't use one of those images. So this is a little bit on how you can use Canva to make mock-ups that you can use once you get your print-on-demand item into to Printify or Printful, and once it's sent to Etsy. Now I showed you shirts. There are definitely mock-ups for other things as well. I am working on, let's see if I can find this one. I'm working on some Christmas ornaments. And so I made a mock-up for a Christmas ornament. So I'll show you what this looks like. So this is just an example of Christmas ornament. That, so you can see how you can do a variety of different mock-ups with Canva. Okay, see you in the next video.